I'm Brigantia Blackbird, a Blackbird's Brew. Happy Monday and welcome back to Norse Studies. This week we're looking at Chapter 13 of the book Germanic Heathenry, A Practical Guide by James Coulter. The title is chaptered Faining, or Menic Celebrations. Now the author, as per usual, fails to define the terms at the start of the chapter, but all of feigning is a celebration, particularly a celebration of the gods. Now, it would have been much simpler for the author to say that from the get-go, but we know that's not his strong suit. Now, the rest of the chapter is divided into sections about items that are needed for a feigning, and then the general template for how to conduct a feigning. And amazingly, the author encourages people to perform a feigning even if they don't have all of the desired tools, because what really matters is the heart condition and the intentions of the people performing it. Which I have to say, that's the first sensible thing and the first reasonable thing the author has written in several chapters, so credit where credit is due. Now for the needed items. Of course, you'll need an altar, which is any surface that can hold the tools, a winding horn to ceremoniously call the gods, the wights, and the people to the celebration, a banner for decorative purposes, a bowl to represent the well of fate, to which offerings are poured in. And now when it comes to dress code, the author doesn't really suggest anything in particular because our ancestors would have worn whatever was customary for the time period and the region where they lived. So we could simply wear something that is customary, something that conveys respect, maybe with some ritual jewelry if we possess it. Or we could look at what's been discovered about more ancient fashions and maybe incorporating some of those details into our garb and have those things set aside for ritual purposes. Next, you would need the wihida, or a holy relic that is meant to represent the gods. Then you'd need a holy weapon, which is a ritual weapon such as a staff or a sword, specifically for ceremonial use. A horn or a cup for offerings and for drinking. And then an erdchomp, which is an earth cup to hold soil where the gathering is being held, taken from that place. Instruments for the playing of music, if you wish. Of course, he has his prejudices against anything pre-recorded. You would need an ermasol, or a spear, to represent the world tree. A Yulecher, literal meaning is Yule candlestick, as a representation of Suna. And then, of course, candles for lighting. And, the author goes into one of his tangents about how disdainful he is of artificial lighting. Do what's practical for you and what makes sense in your circumstances. I think that's much more reasonable. And then if you are using candles, of course, you will need candle snuffers in order to put them out. You'll need reeks, which is another word for incense, for the purpose of cleansing, sanctifying, and as a sacrifice. Sibagral, which is a cup with a lid, and this is to be used if a horn or another cup isn't available. A blessing sprig, which is a twig or a small branch of evergreen used for sprinkling the folk. Then drought, which is just another word for whatever substance that people will be drinking. And then a holy bond, which is a temporary enclosure to put up for the purpose of ritual, like a tent or something. Then he goes into the feigning outline and the order of events. First, prepare the space, including the energy within the space, so that the gathering has the proper tone. Second, you have the winding of the horn, which calls everyone, both seen and unseen, to gather round. Third, light the need fire. Fourth, hallow the space. Fifth, light the Yule lecture. Sixth, sanctify the enclosure. Seventh, the bidding, in which the Fraua pours the drink and hands it to the Harugari. Eighth, you have the rune hallowing. Ninth, the reed, when the Harugari explains the purpose of the gathering. 10th, the memory drought, which is a toast to loved ones or to a god or a goddess. 11th, the song, which is to be played on traditional non-electric instruments and is either sung or recited in poetic meter. 12th, you have the blessing. 13th, the divination for either personal or community purposes. And 14th, the closing, in which the seen and the unseen visitors are thanked for their presence and dismissed. And that is the feigning, according to the author. I think it's well worth comparing and contrasting the author's approach with that of others so as to get a better idea about what's truly customary in modern practice and what is just essentially the author's personal preferences. Next week, we will cover the chapter on Blowstar and Gelt, and the week after that, we will finish up the book with the chapter outlines for holy celebrations, and then we are done. And boy, I tell you what, we will have earned it, haven't we, gang? In the meantime, if you have any thoughts, opinions, experiences you'd like to share, please let me know in the comments section, or click on the link in the description box to take you to Blackbird's Brew on Gilded. It's a community of like-minded pagans. We'd be very happy to have you. And if you're wanting to have more long-form, intelligent discussions, that would be the place where you could find people who are willing to do that. So by all means, check us out, and we hope to see you soon. But that'll do it for now, and I will see you next time. Bye.